Hey friends, I'm Ash Leatherwood, your friendly neighborhood apologist, and in this video we are doing another book review. We are reviewing Darwin's Black Box by Dr. Michael Behe. Let's jump in. Now, if you are familiar with the intelligent design movement, Darwin's Black Box is one of the seminal works that really got a lot of things moving and got a lot of people in the scientific community gathering around this idea of intelligent design. There were these scientists who were just dissatisfied with the explanations given by Darwinian scientists who held to the Darwinian theory and really philosophy of what life is and how it got here. Darwin famously said that if there really were things found in nature that could not have come about little by little, bit by bit, evolved over time, it would be completely detrimental to his theory. Now, that's exactly what Dr. Michael Behe is arguing in this book. He's pointing out things in nature that could not have evolved over time, but that are irreducibly complex. In other words, they're complex. They're made just right, like a little mechanical machine, that if you take out just one thing, it'll no longer function. Now, in the world of life, if it doesn't function, it dies. Therefore, it has to be functioning from the start. You can't develop it over time because it needs all of these little parts arranged just right in the right sizes in the right places for it to work. So, in short, in Darwin's Black Box, Dr. Michael Behe is arguing that life, at its most fundamental parts and its components, is not a black box. By black box, he means what has often been called something that's simple. The cell was often called just a black box before we knew what was going on inside and what it was. It was just something remarkably simple, a little blob. There probably wasn't much going on. But he said that once we started doing more research into the cell and we opened that black box, we saw that it was far more complicated and sophisticated than we ever imagined. Now, Dr. Michael Behe explains that that's exactly what we find in the world of nature, where Darwinian theorists and scientists and Darwin himself before could hide behind ignorance and saying, maybe this came about over time. Maybe these things are just remarkably simple. They're black boxes. Behe says that with modern science and our findings, we can no longer hide behind that. We can no longer claim that these are black boxes, but when we open them, we see how complicated and sophisticated they are in the most fundamental parts and components, and how they need to be from the start for life to be possible. So, this obviously poses a big problem to neo Darwinism, which argues that all of life comes back to a single common ancestor that starts remarkably simply and has evolved and adapted into the diversity that we find today. Behe instead says that we can find the fingerprints of an intelligent designer all over life, and that if these things really came about as complicated and sophisticated as we find them today, they need to have been put here by an intelligent designer. So it's a fantastic book, and if you spend time doing research into intelligent design, this is going to be a concept that comes up more and more. But really, Michael Behe was the founding mind behind this term that he coined irreducible complexity. It's complexity that you cannot reduce. You cannot take back further in time and make it simpler. It was this complex from the start. So I want to recommend this book to you if you're interested in intelligent design, if you're interested in arguments for God's existence from the complexity and diversity in life. I'm going to judge it on two principles, the readability and the usability. Let's start with the readability. This book has 11 chapters and 2 appendices, adding up to about 295 pages, which gives you about an average of about 20 pages a chapter. Now, you know that I like much shorter chapters. I like anything between 8 and 12 pages. Honestly, I would like ideas to be spread across multiple chapters if that's what it takes, just so that I can get an idea in my head in a sitting without having to break a chapter in half and come back to it later. So this was a little hard for me to get through some of the chapters because words can be very sciencey, a little more complicated, and the chapters are just long, so it's hard to stick with it. That being said, when there are more complicated scientific jargon and ideas, Dr. Michael Behe does a great job at putting together images and even including pictures in this book so that you can get an idea of what he's talking about, what it means, and how complicated these little minuscule things really are by showing you it on a blown up scale. So as far as readability goes, I'm going to give it a 4 out of 5 because even though they're a little longer than I would like, and it's definitely going to be a very sciencey book, he does a great job at making it accessible to the average person who has minimal background in science, like myself. And pictures and images and illustrations have a great way of doing that and making it accessible. So 4 out of 5 on readability. As far as usability, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 5, just because unless you're having conversations about intelligent design, you're probably not going to come across this idea of irreducible complexity very much. That being said, when you think about irreducible complexity and you understand what it is, it will bring you so much more wonder and awe at the world around you. It's not just somehow like it over time became this beautiful world that we have today, but that truly there is beauty and complexity and design as far back as this world has been here. And of course, that brings us this heart of wonder and ultimately worship at the God who's placed us here and who's left his fingerprint on the things that he's made. So 3 out of 5 on usability. If you have conversations about intelligent design, this is going to be a crucial and very important work for you to understand this important concept of irreducible complexity, which feeds itself into almost every other main area of intelligent design science today. But even if you're not having conversations about that, this will even just bring you a sense of wonder and awe at the world around you. So 3 out of 5 and a 4 out of 5 brings us to a 7 out of 10, which is a high rated book. Obviously, this is a more niche topic, but I definitely want to highly recommend it to you guys to go and read. It'll shape the way that you view the world around you. It'll shape the way that you understand science and problems posed to Darwinism. So until next time, remember that life is not a black box, but that is incredibly designed and wondrous even at the smallest level. There's a world out there that's incredible. Let's go explore it and worship the God who made it. See you guys next time.